And that's a majority of the cases. Yes, we're humans, we all make mistakes and miss reports once in a while. But again, that's letting the private sector do what the private sector does. If they're not happy because we missed an inspection, then they can go to the next contract or the service company down the line.
Okay.
How do you know there's 5 now, though?
Pardon?
How do you know there's 5 non-compliant now?
Because we have communicated back and forth with Barnstable County when they notified us that Affluential was suspended. And I believe they sent out letters to the homeowners.
Yeah, they do, but then once they get no response, then they turn it over to us.
Right. So they sent letters to the homeowners saying, your operator is out of compliance. They don't, because they had no way of knowing whether the reports were done or not. When the 5 that were where the reports had been done and submitted, then they're clear. But the other 5, we don't know that the notice from Barnstable County doesn't distinguish between people who, I mean, presumably now that you're up to date with Barnstable County and know the drill about reporting instead of to us, to them. Anybody else who's out of compliance is because they're not, we'd have to guess, is because they're not.
That's why we went through all the stuff last week, and it is the 5, and we got 2 of them are property transfers, and we have no idea who the current owner is, and 3 of them haven't given us permission to do the service. So between my office and the health department, we're in agreement that everybody's up to date except those 5.
Right, so one of them changed, I only know the Almana Street one changed hands. I don't know what the other one, whatever one that was, and then the one that's on, is it Mascasatch, or, I forget which one it is down there, Gibley's property. That was done prior to all of this, so no paperwork or anything was signed.
So, and I'll give you the example of Alameda Street. I got an email 2 weeks ago from that property owner asking, when we're gonna come out and do the service. The seller had told them that he signed the contract and paid for the contract and it's all set. So he goes to closing thinking that his contract's paid for and it's not. Our contract clearly says it's non-transferable. Even if it was prepaid, it'd be non-transferable because if you sell the house, I can't go on to somebody else's property without their permission. So, I mean, I'm all for the maintenance. It's the only way any of these systems work, is to get it maintained. But we need to make sure we're having homeowner permission. And frankly, the homeowner needs to be involved in this whole process. And they need to understand when somebody buys a property, they're not looking at what system they have on there. The deed restriction, the attorney's not bringing that up to them in a title search. That it's all there, it's supposed to be there, but that's just the reality of it. What's happening and what's not happening.
Okay.
Like Title V inspections, a lot of homes are sold and there's no Title V report.
Right.
Because the attorneys aren't paying attention either.
Okay. I will, let me turn to you, Matt, for,
So I think we need to reach out to DEP, right? Because the approval letter clearly states, conditions applicable to the system owner that, there's 1, 2, and 3. Number 3 says, the system owner shall provide access to the site for the system operator to perform inspections, maintenance, repairs, responding to alarm events, field testing, and sampling as may be required by the approval. So they sign the homeowner certification saying, yes, we will stay in compliance, and then they turn around and don't let you on the property. I think we need to enforce it with the homeowner. I need to get a better understanding of how it works on your end, and we need to enforce it with the homeowner. But at the end of the day, DEP can certainly get involved. They have rights and enforcement powers if we keep hitting brick walls. The department reserves the right to take any enforcement action authorized by law with respect to this certification or the system against the owner or operator of the system or the company. So I think we also should involve DEP. Because in the case of one of those projects, I know that I've been out there several times in the past, and I think the house is maybe one of the ones that changed hands. Oh, no, it didn't change hands. And they're very resistant. We've sent them letters, we've invited them to the board meeting, and they didn't show up. I think at that point in time, what are we gonna do other than refer them back up to DEP? And like Bob said, if these systems aren't maintenance, they're junk. You might as well just tear it out, put a stone bed in.
So I'll tell you that, I'm sorry, Lee.
So one of the things you said is you are going to, going forward, have they execute a contract with you and it's gonna be prepaid,
Correct.
at least for 1 year.
You know, it's gonna be 1 year, and I'm not one for kicking the can, but looking at it from a bird's eye view, I think that's kicking the can down a year. Because then what happens at the 1 year mark when they don't pay the renewal? Then so if we do the year, we do the service, 18 months, we're gonna reach out to the customer. If they pay the renewal, sign the contract or not, we're still gonna reach out to them
Yep.
to see if they want to have us do it. They'll have to pay before we go out and do the service on the 18 month. But that doesn't mean when we send them the renewal in 12 months to cover the next 12 months after that we're gonna get any reaction from them. I can tell you, we deal in jurisdictions, all the counties in Maryland, I'm gonna say 5 or 6 towns in Rhode Island. We're seeing 90% compliance just from a standard letter from the town saying, just a gentle reminder.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's gonna happen on, all the technologies when it comes time for renewal.
I just have a question. You had said something about Charlestown, Rhode Island had really the best system. I think that whatever they're doing, that we would kind of find out what they're doing in terms of following up with this. They have higher compliance.
Yeah, so they send notices out at 13 months. If you don't have an inspection, they send you a notice. And they give you, might be 60 days, more than 30. They do 60 or 90 days. If you don't do that, then it escalates. Portsmouth will actually take you to municipal court if you don't comply with the third notice. They give you a court date and the third notice.
Well, because we are not getting the reports, probably Charlestown, you submit the reports to Charlestown directly?
Wilson, correct.
So we don't get the reports, Barnstable County gets them on our behalf, because that goes into their, tracking system that we don't have the horsepower to manage
So I
in
think
Westport, so.
if Barnstable County's doing it, they should be sending a notice to the property owner saying, you're in non-compliance, you need to do this.
So that's something we need to have, I think probably a follow-up discussion between Barnstable County, Effluential, and the Board of Health to try and, have a smoother communication process. And you've already indicated some of the steps you're gonna take to, at least for the first year, ensure that you have, once they prepaid, you have their permission to it's like, you pay for, I don't know, pest control, and they just come and do it.
Well,
service.
so on that example, I do that, and they call me and they say, I'm gonna be there on such and such a date. Okay, great, thank you. But again, if you've prepaid for a year, I still need to make contact with you, because if you've sold the property, even though you've prepaid the contract, I have no permission to go on the property by the new owner. I think we need to take a step back and stop focusing on these 5 and say these 5 are gonna be 300 in 10 years. Because as a 2-year, most companies have a 2-year contract. As those 2-year contracts come up for renewal, there needs to be something in place that, again, it's just a gentle reminder, either change the property, some people are busy with life, people just aren't gonna do it, and the gentle reminder is gonna pick up a majority of them.
Okay, I understand that. I'm a little perplexed why this is not an issue with any other operator. So I think there's some nuances to the way you've set up your business that is a little different, and you're out of state compared to some of the other operators that we deal with for either other technologies or Advantex. I agree with you that we need some further discussion around how to better do that communication, a combination between Barnstable County, Westport, and Affluential. I'm still a little unsure why this issue hasn't come up.
Well, Singulair offers a 2-year contract, 0 for free.
Right,
So that may be a reason. Well, a lot of the engineers are using Singulair. Nothing wrong with that, but that may be one of the reasons. The client sees the cost very low, so they're satisfied until that freebie disappears.
And I don't think you've been 2 years yet, have you? It was July of 21?
February of 21.
February of 20, so
Yeah.
you're right at 2 years, so.
Right, well, we have,
And your clock's about to open in the next few months, now that you're outside of the 2-year?
we have other systems that were installed before the requirement came into place for new construction.
Yeah.
So, we have an Advantech system.
My problem is, I got a client in Texas, and I recommended using Advantax for the D-Night.
Mhm.
And I said, have good luck with them, they're local, they're in Tiverton. I've worked with these people for the last 25 years at least, in Rhode Island, and now here. And I like their system, and Matt tells me they're getting good results. But my client got the package from your office to fill out his documents. Oh, what's this, the company you recommended, that they can't operate in Westport anymore? Their license has been suspended? No. The units themselves are still allowed under DEP control. It's the operation maintenance agreement that's been suspended. In other words, he's
We
telling
didn't
me,
send out any such notice.
Nancy sent out the whole package, and in that package, she listed 3 alternative operation maintenance people.
Right.
And I guess somewhere it must have said that this particular company, Advantax, because that's what it is, it says that the license has been suspended.
Not
Only
Advantech,
under operation and maintenance.
Effluential, not
I'm sorry, effluent, same
Atlantic
thing,
Solutions.
it's the same thing. And that's what my client's telling me.
Mhm.
You're telling me these people are good and the license has been suspended, meaning the technology is suspended. No, it was the operation and maintenance. And I know that's what you meant, but these people don't understand that.
We were never notified by Westport.
You were notified by Barnstable County, who is our agent in this regard. They act on our behalf because we've turned over the reporting responsibilities to Barnstable County. So they are our agent.
Did you get that?
I got an email from her, but it wasn't clear that it was, it was Barnstable County, is how it was listed. So, you know, again, it wasn't clear that this was affecting what I do in a jurisdiction, if it's a state, county, or health department. It wasn't clear that because we're no longer gonna be servicing those, that we've turned those contracts over to other companies, that's gonna affect what we're doing here in Westport. We're in another state, but we're 2 miles away. So, right here, we want to service here, it's easy for us to service here, we have customers that we can service here.
Mhm. So, we, the next step is then we will work with Barnstable County in terms of, we know that you've paid the fees and have submitted the reports that you have available. We're having this discussion about the ones that are not available, and we want to figure out a way to resolve that. I think we can have a discussion with Barnstable County about reinstating. I mean, you're reinstated
We're already reinstated.
pardon?
We're already reinstated.
For submitting reports, but reinstated as an operator for Westport Systems.
What's the difference?
You had to be reinstated to Barnstable County in order to be able to submit in order to access the system, to submit the reports. So we are now just trying to resolve these outstanding reports, and it looks like we need to have a follow-up discussion with Barnstable County and Affluential around communication with those homeowners to get them into compliance.
Okay.
I think that because you've come here today and we've talked through what those issues are, we can say to Barnstable County that, we can make a decision assuming the board votes that way, to reinstate Effluential as an operator for Westport Systems.
And I'm here to work with you however we need to, but again, we're a private business and we can't enforce regulations and tell people what they have to do. Ultimately, that has to come from whoever it is, Board of Health, DEP, Barnstable County, because they run the program.
And it sounds like for me, there is this communication process that needs to change or we need to address so that this doesn't continue to be an issue. And, I'm hearing clearly that there's something in the process, and because this is pretty new for us in this contracting with Barnstable County and working with the different companies, that this is a good time to review what our process is. And we're coming up to seeing some problems that maybe we didn't anticipate, like the problem when a property changes hands, then that O&M agreement isn't going with them. And then how do we, as a Board of Health, address that when there's a change in ownership? Because that's one of the problems I'm hearing, is that people, new owners, haven't signed an O&M agreement, and it's non-transferable. So,
Even if it was transferable, we still need permission to go on private property.
right, so.
And the only way to do that is a written instrument.
So
Maintenance
it
contract.
just sounds like it's something that we also just need to address and how we troubleshoot some of these things.
And we should check with other operators how they handle property transfers.
I think what you ought to do is, I think a letter from the Board of Health, as well as Barnstable, more importantly, the Westport Board of Health, to those 5 people, and let them know
Right.
that you need to do this, it's your obligation, and without further action, within 30 days, we'll refer the issue to DEP.
Yeah, no, I don't
And then-
disagree.
And then the people will move.
Yes. Okay. So my recommendation is that, yes, I agree, we should send letters to those 5 property owners from the Board of Health. And none of them have paid you a fee, is that correct? Okay. And we will follow up with Barnstable County around the communication. So how do we best get notice when reports aren't submitted? And I don't know, as far as I know, the only time we've been notified by Barnstable County that reports haven't been submitted is this case. So we'll follow up with them. We'll see if it makes sense. We can do a 3-way conversation. And then I would recommend that we reinstate Effluential Technologies as an authorized O&M operator for Westport. Anything else?
Just as a side note, when a property transfers, they're supposed to give 10-day notice of in writing to provide it to
The new homeowner.
well, and to us, or in our case, Barnstable.
Mhm.
I'll just read you the exact thing, and it's something I think we need to look into. Prior to signing any agreement to transfer any and all interest in the property served by the system or any portion of the property, including any possessionary interest, the system owner shall provide written notice of all conditions contained in the approval to the transferees. Any and all instruments of the transfer and any leases or rental agreements shall include as an exhibit attached thereto and made part of a copy for the approval of this system. The system owner shall send a copy of such written notifications to the local approval authority within 10 days of giving such notice to the transferees. So they should be sending notice to Barnstable County in our case that the property is being transferred and here's, this written notice.
Not sure how. Yeah, I mean, it is required. Okay. Anything else?
No, this is beneficial to understand better how it works on their end and how we need to better do things on our end to,
Yeah.
you know.
And we'll do a little
complete
more
this circle.
research with, you know, if there are other,
And I'm more than happy to tell you what we've seen that's worked and hasn't worked in other jurisdictions too, to give you ideas, because again, it doesn't matter what widget you're putting in a backyard, if it's not maintained, it's not gonna work.
And that would occur with Matt if you have experiences with other boards of health and how they're managing it would be helpful for us to have that.
do you, other communities in Massachusetts? Because Rhode Island has different rules, so I would imagine.
Yeah, Rhode Island's in Massachusetts is a little different because you got Barnstable's operating an agreement to do it for Westport and other towns.
Yeah. But are you doing, do you do O&M for other communities in Massachusetts that are not part of Barnstable County?
Not part of Multnomah County, yes, but there's no tracking program.
Yeah.
So, and
That's not good either.
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm
So, thank you very
certainly
much.
happy with my Advantech system.
Good to hear.
Well, it's one of the better systems, so.
Yeah, so I've got great nitrogen results.
Will you
So
hear from moral
I'm happy.
support? Is that
What's
what,
that?
will you hear from
No,
moral
I'm just trying to
support?
make sure everybody has in the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are looking for Gretchen Young. Yay, sorry. We took another appointment while we waited for you, and that took a little longer. So, come on up, yes. Thank you for coming in today. We have a letter from you, and some other background information. But I will let you have the floor and start with,
So we're both of homeowners.
Okay.
And I think we were just trying to move forward with our building permit. I don't know if you've been able to sort of look over, I think you got sort of the proposal, but then sort of the.
we got the
permit
proposal,
itself.
I just got the plans.
That's okay, I can give you sort of a little
Yeah,
background. Hi, Matt.
I-
I spoke with Matt several times on the phone. So we bought our house, it's a seasonal house in 2012, as a 2-bedroom. And just as background, it passed Title V then as a 2-bedroom. And we then, we have kids. We decided that when we come down here on weekends and it rains, we have nowhere for them to play. So we wanted to basically build a playroom. So we went through the conservation committee and we went through the ZBA for a playroom on the second floor. There's a playroom and a bathroom. And then essentially we passed both of those in 2021. And then this past summer, we didn't move forward with the building permit then because we basically wanted like the summer for our neighbors. We didn't want to be building during the summer. So then in this past fall, we had to take solar panels off, so we got electrical permit, and then we were ready to move forward and acquire the building permit. And then we received notification from your department to get a Title V inspection. And so then you had a list of recommended Title V inspectors. Jim came recommended from our friend who's actually here also, who bought a home in Westport because of us and loves it here. And then, so Jim then came on board in like, I think October, and he looked at the system and he repaired the system. And then I think the department asked for a water sample, and we did a water sample. And then he passed us as a Title V 2-bedroom at the end of December. And then in January, I think he was in contact with the department and they wanted a soil sample. And then he did a soil sample in February. I think that was for the water table. I don't know all the ins and outs, I'm sorry. and I believe we passed that, and then I called probably the first week in March, sort of to find out, you know, if we could move forward. And then that was when I was speaking with Matt that the system was by the Department of Health and Westport's records, like a one-bedroom system, so we would not get a permit, we would not be able to move forward, despite, you know, passing as a two-bedroom for Title V. And so then we would have to upgrade our system in order to move forward with the permit. And so then he and I started going back and forth about it, because I didn't understand, you know, if we had passed, why we would still need to upgrade our system. If we have, you know, a functioning system for a two-bedroom, why would we replace it with another two-bedroom system, essentially for $30,000 to $40,000, which was not really, obviously, a part of our plans for this, you know, construction. So he and I were then talking. So the proposal you have in front of you, he and I were talking about, you know, how we could kind of move forward with this, because it's been a 2-year process for us, and we'd really like to move forward with it. And then essentially he said, why don't we come up with a proposal, you know, if we can. I mean, I don't want our children, you know, swimming in sewage either. Nobody does. In our system, it doesn't show, according to Jim, that we are passing sewage into the lake. But I would upgrade and do anything possible to keep it safe, obviously. So if you needed us to, you know, employ someone within, you know, 2 years to upgrade the system, if that's what needs to happen, you know, we would be willing to do that. If that was what was being required from the, you know, from the board.
Okay, thank you. That's a pretty concise and clear history. The most recent, is this the most recent? This is the one from December. So there's a leaching pit, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Hello, James Aguirre, Spec Corp. I concur with just about everything Gretchen said, except I didn't fix the system.
I was a little surprised
Yeah.
about that, but I
No.
Wrong verb.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay.
Is this that's, so I don't have this one.
So this house is serviced by a 1,000-gallon septic tank,
okay,
and there is a leaching pit. The pit is within 100 foot from the subject well. It tested, it came back just above 4 points, so it's below 5. The system is functional. At the time of my inspection without a soil evaluation, I estimated the water table to be at 8 feet. Matt requested a soil evaluation be done because there was nothing in the file, nothing in the neighboring files. We did that. It came back at 96 inches, which is 8 feet. So,
good guess.
yeah. So the water table is not a concern. There are no failure criteria present within the pit or within the septic tank or any of the components. However, we understand the system is an older system. There's no design criteria on file. Title V does not require design criteria to be part of the passing Title V. And as Gretchen said, this did have a passing Title V in 2012, and it wasn't done by me. So fast forward to today, Mrs. Young and the other property owner, I don't know your name, I'm sorry. Julianne, have, as stated, said that they understand that, you know, an upgrade probably is in order, especially if they're gonna own the house long-term. But right now, at this juncture, it was not something that they were planning on doing.
okay. Yeah, this is, I don't know, an earlier report, 97. The pit is 116 feet from South Watuppa Pond, is that what it?
Yes.
So
They
that's-
did the best they could to get it as far away as possible. Mrs. Young's property goes right up to the water, and then there's a paper road there, which I'm not even sure if those are paper roads or cart paths or whatnot, but our property extends to the east of that, and that's where they cited the leaching area. So someone did try to put it as far as away from the water and wells as possible, and more than likely that's where the new system will go. The soils were excellent. I didn't do a perk test because it was just for water tables. I am a soil evaluator. It was all outwash. There was no fines. It was good material. So I'm not surprised that the system is working as well as it is. And it's currently not in the water table.
Okay, all right, thank you. Matt, I'm gonna turn first to you for your input, and then we'll open it up for questions from Donna and myself. And see if we have-
So the only red flag for me was, like Jim stated, was the water table, but he proved that out, which was great. But the other red flag was that it started out as a one-bedroom house and transitioned to a two-bedroom house, and they never upgraded the system. That's just, that should have been done somewhere along that road, and it was up, before Mrs. Young owned the property, that happened, but it still happened. So that's kind of why we're here, is how we're gonna address that.
Okay, so, based on your letter, your proposal is that you would do an upgrade within 2 years. Is that right? Am I reading that correct?
Or can we at least engage someone within, I mean, the process, takes about, it could take, 3 to 6 months to get a septic in? Can we at least hire someone by that time and engage them to start the process within 2 years?
So you mean start the process
Yes.
within 2 years?
Yes.
Will,
Strictly because of funding,
mhm.
and it's a considerable.
Sure. I'm guessing that property may be used more now, once you have your playroom and additional room,
We don't rent it.
mhm.
I mean, we are there probably 8 to 10 weekends a year over the summer and fall. Like, that's the place we love to go, but, I mean, that's it. So
And
usually-
our children are in camps and.
Yeah, they're
all that
6
other
and
stuff,
4.
so-
Okay.
So to be used more like throughout the year,
Yeah.
probably not. To be used more like within the house and it's more functional for us, like, yes. I don't anticipate us now like, oh my gosh, we have this playroom, we're gonna throw like huge parties every weekend.
Jeez, I thought I was gonna get an invite.
6-year-old, sorry.
And today's the first day I met Gretchen. Every time I've been to the house, it's been empty. But the liquid levels were normal in the tank, so,
Okay.
the water is being used on occasion. So I didn't see conditions consistent with a prolonged vacant house.
Mhm.
So it is being used,
Mhm. Okay.
so.
Okay.
Part of the question I have is, I know that in part of the upgrade is an expansion of the footprint of the
No.
house. There's no expansion
There's no
outside of,
change.
there's no
The
change
footprint
outside.
does not change.
It's just going up.
Yep, yeah. There's like a second floor, which is just like the roof just kind of tapers. And basically, they're just bringing that roof up.
Dump through it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
Because they're just freezing over.
so we're here to approve the plan, but not the septic system.
Well, the proposal, so where this stands is, they're waiting for approval from the Board of Health on the building plan. We don't normally, the Board of Health normally doesn't do that, that's the staff. But because of these, I don't want to, let me just use the word non-compliance, but not in a negative sense. I mean, the current septic system is not in compliance with the house.
Is it, can I just clarify that? So
Yeah.
is it, so you said it's a 1-bedroom septic, but it was approved as a 2-bedroom?
No, it
So
was-
how is it, I'm just curious, how is it not in compliance? I'm not understanding.
When the septic system went in, when the pit and septic tank, I presume 1,000-gallon tank probably,
Yes.
went in, what we have on record is that this was for a 1-bedroom house. So it was designed for 1 bedroom. Somewhere
There-
along the line.
There is no design on record. That's one of the problems.
Well, there is a design that says it's a one-bedroom house.
Not a design plan from a septic designer. There's records that indicate it was a 1-bedroom house.
Well, we have the original, well, not the original permit, we have a permit from 1973 that shows it's a one-bedroom house.
Okay.
Yes.
So So the Title V passing in 2012, we purchased it and it was listed as a two-bedroom, should not have been?
It was the Title V inspector at that time, presumably, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't know either.
The house, I mean, there's 2 bedrooms in the
Yeah.
house. And didn't maybe look at the records to say there's a disconnect, that it was designed as a 1-bedroom, and now the house has 2 bedrooms. And that's the way septic, Title V is not based on, how many times you flush the toilet, it's based on bedrooms.
Right.
As the sort of best proxy for usage.
Records in 1970 weren't that detailed.
No, they weren't.
Someone put a 1-bedroom on the application, the design criteria wasn't attached to the permit. So, you don't put a leaching pit in 6x6 for 1-bedrooms. Back in the day, that was for 3 bedrooms. That's how it worked when you had less than a 10-minute rate. We've come leaps and bounds from that. So we also put them in the water table back then, so.
Yes.
We've come a long way.
But none of that is relevant here. It's just, the property owners weren't expecting to put a system in, especially since their system passed just 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So understanding that, times, we progress, we want to make sure we protect the environment. I could probably argue that this system is a pass pursuant to Title V, but the property owners realize that this is beneficial, there's equity in a new system, they just need time to put it in.
Right. So, I am sympathetic to that. I think the question is, how do we ensure that you engage somebody 2 years from now, and then it's another 2 years, because the permit is valid for 3 years, or two years or something. So I think we want something, if we agree to a 2-year timeframe, I think for engaging, then there needs to be another timeline for, it can't sit there sort of untethered to a
Yeah.
deadline. And the second part you had mentioned in the application is the perk permitting fee being waived, but you haven't had a perk test. The test that
Right.
Mr. Aguirre did was would not be sufficient for a perk test, which you will need
Yes.
for.
No, for sure.
So that's not something that I think we can waive, but I am sympathetic to a timeline.
But if the Department of Health was gonna fail us no matter what, I don't understand why we went through Title V, why you requested a Title V from us in the first place. I mean, you were never gonna pass us. We have a passing Title V. And
I'm not
we-
sure why you say we were never gonna.
Well,
I think the soil evaluation could have been eliminated if we would have had this
Right.
discussion before the water table was
And
checked.
the soil.
Okay.
And I,
don't know- I just don't know why we were doing multiple tests when, even with a passing Title V, like a 2-bedroom from Jim, that we still wouldn't get stamped for a permit. Do you see? So then with the perk test, the reason why the perk test is in there is that we were asked to do the soil, and then while he was there,
I could have done a perk test, but we anticipated that if the water table was determined to be below the existing system, we wouldn't be here tonight. They would have received their building permit.
Yeah.
I think it's the way that things came in. It didn't come in all at once. It was, the water test took a little while to come in, and then there was the title. I don't remember the exact order how things came in. It was just a way, a circumstance of the way things came in that led us to do things the way that they were done.
Okay, but, so, going forward, what you're asking for is a sign-off on the building permit, so you can move forward with the building permit, and an extended time to, or some period of time, hopefully in your, I'm thinking you're asking really for like 2.5 years.
yeah.
To put in an upgraded septic system. Given that the proximity to the Southwood Tupper Pond, that it's a leaching pit and not which is not a conforming system that's different than non-compliance, but those, you know, we would like to see that septic system upgraded to current Title V standards. And so we want to work with you to make that happen. I guess I could be convinced of a, let's see, what is, let's say March from, let's say 2 years and 6 months, whatever that takes us to.
I don't think we can go 2 years and 6 months, only because we'll be in violation of Title V, and you're making it less strict than Title V.
Oh, okay, so 2 years, we have to go 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years is the maximum.
I thought it was
But that's-
I thought that was 3 years if we got it checked, the system checked.
No.
Yeah, but that's only if the title's been deemed a failure. This
Right.
hasn't been deemed a failure.
It's a
Well, the board,
conditional pass.
the board really is gonna figure out if this is a failure or not, or just a simple, you're gonna give them 2 years, 2.5 years to upgrade. If it's not failed, then I guess you could go 2.5 years, but,
And the
and
reason,
but the other,
Request is for
the other
2
thing
years.
is, you mentioned in your letter about, I think the septic loan program.
Right.
The further out we go, the less likely that money may or may not be available. Because especially with what we have going on this end with the septic closeout, a lot of people have been coming in and getting that money. So if that's a factor, I just wanted to give you a heads up on
We can do it
that.
sooner than 2 years, and we're, you know, and there's
Right.
loans and
Right.
other
right.
ways that we can secure that.
On a separate note, I would suggest you advocate with your local legislators. In Governor Healy's tax relief bill is a proposal to increase the septic tax credit for septic repairs from $6,000 to $12,000. That's for systems that are deemed in failure. If we don't deem this in failure, you know, it's a little,
I think it has to be our
Question.
primary residence too, so we wouldn't get it.
oh,
So it
okay.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm happy to advocate.
True, I forgot that that
I've
was
already
not
looked
you.
into that.
Okay, so strike that.
I'll try.
Um,
That's a great idea.
Okay,
And I just want to be sure that when you're upgrading, you're doing this renovation or this addition in your home, that you're not adding a bedroom.
No.
It's just a
We-
playroom.
Yeah, no, we've already gone through the ZBA. Yeah.
Just so I think the board is clear, in 1973, I believe that permit was just for the tank. That pit has existed, in my opinion, I think the house was built in 1940.
Yes.
So the pit's probably been there since 1940, and then they added the tank in 1973 or 1974.
okay, thank you. Okay, so, I am prepared to say, we can sign off on the building permit with a condition that, we grant, so, I'm not sure how we do the failure or non-failure thing in terms of the timeline with,
It might be just easier if the board just sets a deadline to have it upgraded,
okay,
and then if you wanted it, so first maybe think of that, and then you know, yeah, I would just do that. Just give a deadline, whether, you know, if you want to upgrade it in 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, whatever the board decides, and then they know what they're up against.
okay. Okay, so I would recommend then we, allow the, allow the board, or have the Board of Health, the board director sign off on the building permit, on the condition that the, septic system be repaired, by, I'm gonna say, if you wanna do it before the season, before people are there in the summer, by June 1st, 2025. That's 2 years and a couple extra months.
And they'd be upgraded, not repaired.
I'm sorry, yes, upgraded, sorry, I'm casual about the language. And you are welcome to apply to the septic loan program. We get a tranche of 500,000, and if it's, you know, you have to meet the criteria, I don't know what all the details are. And we, you know, depends on
When
when.
are your letters going out for cesspool upgrade? You said it's a 3-year?
February 1, 2026,
So
right?
Matt's point about funds being limited
Yeah.
is an accurate statement.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those letters are going out hopefully by the end of the month.
okay.
And the fees we've incurred for the water sample and the soil sample that we got here, found ourselves here anyway, is there a way to waive those since we have to upgrade the system anyway?
I would definitely say no on the water test. You want to know what you should, I would recommend you have your water tested, you know, every couple of years anyways. So the water table test is not the same as a park test. So I'm not,
What did we charge you, $75 for that?
75 for the town, a lot more with me and an excavator.
Right, so, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a single hole for the upgrade, right? But then the permit fees, there's permit fees too, it's the application fees
For the plan
different.
submittal.
Yeah, for the plan submittal, so I mean, yeah. We couldn't wipe them all the fees out, you know, again, I think it was just a circumstance of the way that things came in, is the way that, why things happened the way that they happened.
How much is the perk test fee?
Off the top of my head, I have no idea. I don't remember. So many fees on that schedule, I don't know.
as a gesture of goodwill, given the challenging circumstances here, I'm willing to waive the water table fee, the $75. Was that 75 for that?
Mhm.
Or apply it as a credit to your next round of fees. Thank you.
Except somebody remind me of that when we get to this point. Yeah.
I'll laminate the receipt.
Okay, good.
So you've made a motion to, or am I making? a
Yes,
motion?
a motion to sign off on the building permit on the condition that the septic system be upgraded by June 1, 2025, and that we grant a credit, $75 credit for future fees, given the payment of the water table test.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous with one absence.
As part of the motion, did you state the timeframe?
Yes.
The June
The
1st?
date.
1st, 2025.
Okay.
Yes, this is for the, I should say, for the property at, remind me the address?
219L.
219L Tickle
Tickle
Road.
aside with all of this, the current standards are for one bedroom, it's 10,000 square feet. So for 2 bedrooms, it would be 20,000 square feet for the property. Yours is 4,340. So just to be thinking back, I live in that neck of the woods. So back then, they really, especially around the pond, they really packed people in and not really thinking about the environmental consequences of those actions, so. Now we're left
Living
with-
with some of
And
that now.
that's, exactly, and now we're left to figure out how are we gonna stop the process from getting worse and maybe hopefully improve some of the issues, but it's a long haul.
It is, we lived together a long time, so.
Well, good luck with your building project, and hope your kids enjoy.
Thank you.
Thanks for
That
coming.
space.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Aguirre. Okay, Donna.
Well, I move, since there's no other business,
No other business.
that we adjourn this meeting at 5:49 PM.
Second, all in favor? Aye.